These events will run on the same day as the main team events. You must advise the DT of your 3 or 4 fencers of the same gender and your team name by 9:30 a.m. on the day of the competition. Events will be held after 12 noon. Entry fees are £20 per person. Please see the DT for any further details. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce to you our senior women's Epee finalists.
Welcome back to the University of East London's Sports Dock. We are here for day 2 of the Commonwealth Fencing Championships, and it is time for our next final of the evening. The senior individual women's épée final, and you join us here now with the athletes being presented to the audience before they begin. This final will be contested between Susan Seeker of England and Marie-Frédérique Millet of Canada. I'm delighted again to be joined in the commentary by Rio Olympian and Team Canada athlete Leo McKinnon, who's going to guide us through this match, what to look for and how it's going to play out. Leo, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me back.
So tell us, Millet, obviously a compatriot of yours, and Susan Seeker, someone I imagine you know from the international circuit. What can you tell us about these two and how you're expecting this match to play out?
So obviously Susan is #1 in both the English and the British rankings. She's had some great results internationally in the seniors, making, I think, a top result would be a 16 in World Cups. And then we're joined on the right by Marie-Frédérique, who is still second-year junior. And so she's a young'un and doesn't have much experience in the senior circuit at all. I think she did her first one this year. So I think it's going to be a match of experience. We're looking at 2 French grip fencers. So it's going to be, I was about to say it's about to be a long game, but they're actually fencing quite close for 2 French grippers. Susan obviously has that very long lunge, which she uses very well. So I think it's going to be, it's all going to depend on how Marie-Frédérique can handle Susan's lunge and close the distance on it.
So you talk about that lunge that Susan Seeker has. We saw it a lot in the semi-final against Danny Lawson. When you're coming up against someone who's got a weapon like that, how do you go about neutralizing that if you're Marie-Frédérique?
So there's 2 ways of doing it. Is either doing what she did in her first touch, which is closing the distance on the prep, not letting her get started on it, or it's about provoking Susan to commit to that long lunge and leave her vulnerable. She's very slow on her recovery, and if you can get her into that long lunge, I think Marie-Frédérique can get her on it, but she has to be the one to provoke it. She cannot let Susan start on Susan's timing, which means that Marie-Frédérique has to be the one controlling the footwork, controlling the tempo, and controlling the timing. Otherwise, Susan is going to hit her in the foot like that on the long lunge.
So it feels like that's been maybe an emerging theme in this sort of first 4 hits or so. Twice Susan's gone for the lunge, once successfully, once with a double, where Marie-Frédérique, maybe she was able to, she's able to parry it, able to stop it initially, but wasn't able to get the single light. First impressions?
It's quite hard to say at the moment. They're both kind of doing what I expect them to do. I think if Marie-Frédérique can get that parry, but without dropping her hand, she needs to keep her hand a little higher, she would get that point on. I would also like to see her giving a bit more pressure, pushing into Susan into the back of the piste, forcing her into a position where Susan has to lunge, but Marie-Frédérique has the use of the piste in order to get out of the way.
You talked at the start, both of these using French grips, trying to maximize the reach that they have available. And you said that you surprised that the distance that they were setting. Nice attack.
Very nice distance.
Tell us about that.
She set it up very well. She's using lots of little small steps to just creep into that distance. And as Susan just drops her guard a little, Marie-Frédérique is able to just go straight through her.
You were saying at the start, both of these were fencing at a distance that surprised you, given that they were both French grippers. What's that telling you about maybe the intention behind these two athletes?
I'm not fully convinced it's completely intentional.
Right.
Susan is looking for that long lunge, and so she will be looking for a closer distance just to give her more advantage on it. It's going to be faster if you're in closer.
Yeah.
But for me, she needs to be more point distance. She can get in a preparation as well. They've opened it up now, which is nice. I think Marie-Frédérique wants it a little longer so that she can provoke Susan a bit better. Because at the moment, there's been
and there's what you're talking about, dealing with that attack, punishing the recovery.
Yeah. That was a great hit. She opened up the distance, which meant that when it came, she had the timing. And I think that's why they were getting doubles before on it. It was just a little too close.
And you did see it, that it felt like when Marie-Frédérique was getting that parry, it was then maybe quite close, guard to guard kind of distance.
And she does have a habit of dropping her hand slightly, which means that her point will go up. And when you've got two French grips going with their points up and meeting the guard, you're never going to get it on.
First period, we talked at the start, at this level, at this sort of senior competitive level, Susan Seeker, the more experienced of the two. Millette, very much up and comer. You've seen her coming through the Team Canada as a teammate and compatriot. What are you seeing so far that's gone with the form book? What's looking maybe more surprising?
I think Marie-Frédérique has done a very good job of actually controlling herself and controlling the nerves that come with inexperience, and she's using the piece quite nicely. She is doing what we've been talking about, which is provoking Susan into that lunge. I would like to see Susan step up a bit more and respond to that. She is an experienced fencer, and she should be able to respond quite nicely to it and not fall for those provocations, and just take a bit more control of the distance and the timing of the piste.
So if you're Susan, are you looking to change strategy, change approach, drop that lunge out completely, or are you thinking more now about how do I make this work?
I think I'd be looking to provoke Marie-Frédérique. We haven't really seen her attack much. We've seen her go in on prep, but we haven't seen her overcommit herself. And I think I'd be looking to see how I could provoke her into going on the wrong timing, and just taking a bit more control of the tempo, because right now it's all Marie-Frédérique. She's doing a very good job of controlling that tempo.
It just looks a little bit like Susan's maybe half a step behind, or just when Marie-Frédérique attacking then, Susan just didn't seem to be ready for it, didn't seem to expect it for what she was trying to do.
Yeah, I think Marie-Frédérique has got, if you look at their feet, Marie-Frédérique is constantly moving in and out, and not just the front foot. She is changing that distance up, and Susan is moving, but really only her front foot is the one going in and out, so she's not actually opening the distance correctly. So, I mean, there she did a great flash, but it's, if she can get more on that distance, I think she'll get more single lights, but I would like to see her creating more of the opportunities correctly. Just controlling it a little better, tidying up a little with her feet.
So that's maybe looking at just really properly changing the distance, not just staying active, but actually moving fully in, fully out. And okay.
Yeah. The moment she moves her feet, she's very good at controlling it, and she's very good at making people follow her. But she's just got to work that back foot a little, stay on the back leg a little bit more. It's a little too straight. And she'd also get more power in her lunge if she used her back leg a little more. She is now doing a lot more to provoke, which is nice. Using her point, keeping it open, opening up the target. She's still using the lunge, but I think she's more now going for the second intention. She's not aiming to hit on the lunge. She's going for the remise, which Marie-Frédérique is going straight into. She's not quite waiting long enough after the lunge to go. Nice. It's a big step forward for Marie-Frédérique. She opened up and gave Susan the opportunity to go straight through her.
It doesn't feel like a huge amount has changed, but an awful lot has changed in the way this fight is going. Twice now, Susan Seeker, she was unable to land anything really with that lunge. She's landed it directly twice now. And how has she not just gotten herself back in, but now taken the lead?
She's just changed the footwork a little. And this is the thing about épée, is the feet are just so important. Like, I can't stress it enough when I talk to people about épée. All of your preparation and all of your power come from your legs. And obviously, like, there's a lot of blade work involved, but if you can set it up, you can go direct any day.
We talked right at the start. Marie-Frédérique, she was scoring her points by punishing the recovery of Susan Seeker. That last point there, it felt like Susan tried to lure her in. She didn't make any attempt at recovering. She just stayed in the lunge, kept her point on, landed.
Yeah, Susan is now using it to her advantage. So she's seen that Marie-Frédérique is using her lunge and coming in on her recovery, and she's now staying there. And Marie-Frédérique needs to realize that it's now a trap, and she needs to stop doing it, because it's not going to work anymore. If Susan keeps holding herself there, if she's not recovering, it's not an open target. And she hasn't quite picked up on that. So I think her coach, who is her teammate, needs to just pull her back a little. Tell her there's a bit more time, there's a lot of patience. We've still got another whole 3 minutes, and she's only 2 down. There's no need to rush. She just needs to work a bit harder, set up some more touches, and pull Susan out of her comfort zone.
If you're Susan now, what are you expecting? What are you expecting to employ as your approach for these first period of these 3 minutes?
Susan's looking a lot more confident than she was in the first period. Even her whole body language has she's picked up a little. So I think she's gonna try and power through again. I think we're going to see her doing a lot more of the lunging. And if Marie-Frédérique keeps the same timing, I think Susan will just keep doing the same as we've seen for the last 2 hits. Using her feet and just getting in that direct lunge.
A little bit of a wait before we restart this final period of 3 minutes. I think, given that our technical lead, who is normally sat next to us, has just dashed down, that there's probably an issue with the video refereeing that we just want it fixing. While we're waiting here, tell us a bit more. So, Marie-Frédérique, young junior athlete, Susan Seeker, experienced senior athlete. What is it like making that transition from junior into senior?
It is a massive jump up, especially on the international circuit. I think a lot of people don't realize that. But épée is a game of experience. Look at Emma Chessars in 2016 at Rio. And Imre Gaza was 42 or something. It was such a big experience game, and this is the point. It's such a mental game. You just got to not crack, and I think the jump up kind of shows people that.
And is this what you're going to be looking at now from Marie-Frédérique? Is she got that maturity to step up, to maintain her patience, to not crack?
She's got to hold it and be intelligent. Just not give away hits. And I mean, it's very easy for us to say sitting up here.
Susan here straddling her back line. But as you said, body language looking more confident. You can see from that response, one of them was particularly frustrated with that, and it wasn't Susan Seeker.
No. Again, Susan stayed in the lunge. She didn't try to recover, which I think Marie-Frédérique might even have to take 2 or 3 parries in that now. She can't just go in.
But it's still a viable tactic. It's still an option for her to really get into this match, but she has to recognise that Seeker's adapted. She's not really in any hurry to recover, and you're going to have to deal with not just the attack, but also the renewals as well.
There we go, yeah. So she just waited that little bit longer. Susan then did recover, and that's when she was able to hit her. Just realising that the timing is slightly changed in Susan's tactics, and you have to be able to adapt to it.
Minute 20 remaining on the clock. Neither one of them looking to really commit down here. Double. Anything to say about that?
It's not a massive game changer. Susan's happy with doubles. It's going to get to the point where Marie-Frédérique won't be. Normally around 10, I try to avoid them if I'm down. Just get some one hit closer. Give yourself as much room as you can. Yeah, but nothing really game-changing about that touch.
We can see Susan really skipping backwards fully when she's trying to draw Marie-Frédérique down the piece. You talked about, and it's a good attack. What's happened here?
Susan, like you said, she was just dragging backwards, and dragging, I think, is the key word. She got very static, and she wasn't in it. You can't be static in epee. If you want to hold a match, you've got to keep moving.
So level now in a meet. And it's that second action from Susan Seeker, isn't it? The first one is parried, but what's the distance like? Marie-Frédérique, she's too close.
She step back on the parry. That's what I think it's just, she's just allowing Susan. Susan's always got that little bit extra in her. And you just got to make sure you clear it. But find the blade with it.
And twice now, it looks like Marie-Frédérique may be caught static.
Yeah, and she's got a little bit of time. Ooh, very lucky. Very lucky for Marie-Frédérique there. She gave herself wide open for Susan. But
so 10 seconds left. The pressure's really on now for Marie-Frédérique. And she goes in, she collects the blade.
She missed it. She had a moment's hesitation and it just caused her to miss. A little bit of confidence.
Here now, she's forced to push. She has no choice. Just under 4 seconds remaining. Susan Seeker is one hit from the Commonwealth Championship. And there it is. Susan Seeker of England wins. She is the 2022 Senior Women's Epee Commonwealth Champion. Marie-Frédérique Millet, a close fight all the way through. Maybe that 15-10 score, not really representative of the match as a whole. Leo, tell us a bit more about your thoughts.
You know what, Marie-Frédérique, she gave a very good match. She made Susan work. She made Susan think. And she can be very, very proud of herself. That is a very tough match to do. Not many people on the senior circuit like fencing Susan. So for a second-year junior to step up and in the finals of the Commonwealth Championships do 15-10, she can hold her head high. She's had a great day. She's had some great matches, and she did a great job. And Susan, she's Susan that match. She did that nice long lunge. She used it in the full length, and she figured out the timing that worked and just rolled with it.
Leo, thanks very much for joining us for the Senior Women's Epee individual final. We start again tomorrow with the teams. You looking forward to it?
I am, very much so. I love a good team event.
And thank you very much for joining. We will be taking a short break, and then we will be back again to cover the Senior Individual Men's Foil Final. Join us again in a moment's time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to our senior men's foilers. Gentlemen, would you like to come onto the piste?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to University of East London's Sports Dock. It is time for our next final of the evening, which will be the senior individual men's foil, taking place between Glenn Ostacini of Wales and Harry Bird of England. Loud support for both of these athletes in the hall. And I am delighted to be joined up here on the commentary with FIE referee Luke Deemer. Luke, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tell us, Luke, you've been refereeing these guys all through today and I imagine over a number of seasons. What are you expecting to see in this kind of match? What are you expecting to see in sort of early stages of the fight that might give us an idea of how it's going to play out?
Yeah, this will be a really interesting fight. It's a fight that also came up in the Nationals earlier on in the year as well. So they're certainly known to one another. We expect Harry to come out fairly strong. That's what he's done in the past few fights, particularly in the fight with Kamal in the previous one. But Glenn is really on form today. This seems to be his day, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do. In the Nationals, we saw Harry come up well ahead. Let's see what happens with this one.
Early exchanges are going to be important. The first sort of minute or two is really going to set the pace. What sort of tempo do you expect this match to be fought at? Is it going to be a fast one, or are we going to be or is this going to be a slower one?
That's a good question. I think both of these fences are quite technical. They're quite neat. This is not a physical match so much. This is a more tactical one. That all being said, they can finish in multiple lines. We're expecting to see flicks to shoulder, flicks underarm. We'll see what happens there. We've got a great referee team here as well. We've got Kelly heading up this as well, so she will look out for all these things and see what happens. And there we go, straight away. Flick to chest, Glenn opening up the score.
And straight away, you were saying this. You think this is going to be quite a high-tempo fight. You think these are athletes who know each other well. They will have game plans that they're immediately going to look to enact.
Yes, I think, well, they're certainly both training same sort of area. They're both competing at both of these competitions. Of course, they're both under Great Britain ordinarily. There we see both sides. Interesting, a lot of use of the piste as well. So it's not just all coming from the hand. We've got the footwork being introduced there as well.
You've been refereeing these guys all through the championships today. Oh, in goes Ostacini.
A little lucky with that one, I think. The attack no from Harry, just getting the better of him. But yes, absolutely. So one thing we watch out for, as I say, both very neat fencers. So often the calls are relatively straightforward. What we're looking for is those little bits around the piste, how we manage those, and particularly things like penalties. So do watch out for the two assesseurs. We've got those two referees on either end of the piste. They'll be looking out for things like covering, turning, ducking, things like this that might just flip 1 or 2 points throughout this match.
Second time now, Ostacini against the run of the right of way, steps in, evades the action from Bird and lands the point on. What's this telling us about about how Ostacini's looking to play this match?
I wouldn't like to say he's getting very lucky right now, but of course this is the end of the day, so how they prepare makes a big difference. Once again though, that's the third time we've seen a counter in this match already, out of the 4 that Ostacini's got. Already it's showing Harry's willing to go for the flex, but of course if you've got that body displacement, this is what you risk. You risk getting hit on the counters. And Glenn's being very good in terms of stepping in, making it as hard as possible for him to land those.
Bit of aggression, change of pace from Ostacini, driving Bird back. Not really seen Bird pressing his attack. He looked very patient in his semi-final matchup against teammate Kamal Minot. And this is maybe more the sort of attack I would expect to be seeing from Harry Bird. Really taking his time, using the piste and waiting for the moment rather than looking to rush his way in.
Yeah, he seems to do best when he's got this open space. It stops Glenn from stepping in to get the counter, and it means he can finish with that flick. Let's just hope he's okay, because he has been dependent upon those flicks to shoulder, including in that semi-final fight that you mentioned. So let's hope this isn't too serious.
Looks like it's something with his sword hand. He's called the competition doctor over, and just getting that assessed right now. Possibly the way he's stretching it out, possibly a bit of cramp or maybe some kind of pre-existing injury. We don't know at this stage. Luke, have you refereed either of these two at all today? What's that? And if you have, what's that given you as your any kind of insight into the way they're setting up for this final?
Yes, so I have refereed both of them, as you say, in the past. I've avoided refereeing Harry because he's English and I'm an English referee here. But I have refereed Glenn. He's prepared to be patient. As I said, if he can close that distance in, the counters seem to be working for him. Lovely riposte there. Unfortunately, all the way over to back. But this is what Harry could do. He stayed patient, and I think we saw that in the last couple of fights, actually. Even when he was behind a good couple of points, he'd still just keep chipping away, and he's not afraid to go for those 50-50 hits.
A moment ago, you mentioned the importance of penalties, and we just saw there referee issuing a yellow card to Glenn for what looked like ducking the head, was it?
Yes, so in that one it was indeed ducking. I think the other thing that we see with Glenn quite often is when he goes for a preem parry, he can bring in the back arm as well and cover with that arm. So it's something that the referees will be watching out for. It's something that was picked up after the semi-finals, certainly. So let's hope that card count doesn't affect the score too much for Glenn. But yes, this is the value of having, firstly, video, and secondly, those assesseurs on either side of the piste.
Second time now, Bird looking to catch he's caught the parry, he's parried that counter-attack from Ostacini and gone over the back, not landing it yet.
Yeah, and we had that off target earlier from the counter parry riposte, went all the way over the back. He just needs to get his eye in onto those, because he seems quite dependent on it at the moment. Interesting, Glenn can't decide the line.
Yeah.
Harry finishes off.
It felt like there was maybe a rhythm there that that Harry was able to pick up of Glenn sort of, pressing with 2 steps, a little pause, pressing with 2 steps, a little pause, and it felt that Harry maybe just found the moment in there.
Yes, and I can see a hand up from the assesseur there as well. So that's a second card for Glenn, again for ducking, just like we said before. So that's a point to Harry there.
You said this right at the start, would penalties start to
I hope I didn't jinx anything.
And already we've got a point given up. And what we're maybe starting to see as well, that counter-attack from Glenn would still have been an off-target call for Harry anyway. And maybe he's just starting to get the measure of his attack. Maybe he's just starting to find his own rhythm. What are we seeing here, Luke? The referee has gone to the video to have a look.
Yes, absolutely. So this is the classic one where, is it a beat? Is it a parry? Who's gone for that blade contact? And that will decide which way around this point goes. As I said, very experienced referee. We've got an all-female referee team, of course, on the final as well. It's actually the first time in Commonwealth history. And there we go. So it's decided parry riposte to Harry, and he pulls ahead.
Glenn pressing aggressively. Is he off the back? Is he on?
Certainly on. So of course you need all of both feet over the line in order to be off, and that was as close as it gets.
Maybe just the big toe.
But actually we're starting to see Glenn attacking now. We said right at the beginning that Glenn was getting all his points from those counters.
Oh.
So there Glenn's saying, no, Harry's first parry and riposte missed. It was no, and therefore he wants the remise to be off target. But what I was saying beforehand, Glenn was very much defending. He was trying to get the steps in and counter as Harry was pressing into the attack. And now, as Harry started to build up that lead again, Glenn has had to be forced out to attack more. So they'll always make sure they've got their mask on first before they make the call. There we go.
Yeah, Harry pretty much on his on-guard line before that call was made. He was confident that that was going to remain his.
Is the score on?
No,
there we go.
So 1-4. The score was 1-4 in favour of Ostacini.
Preparation, attack, touche. Attack 2 from the right there. So in the middle there, it's always the bit we get asked the most questions on as referees. We're looking for who commits to that attack first. We're looking for that intent. Who's keeping their eyes open, who's waiting to see what's going to happen, who commits to that attack first. Almost like Sabre in the middle there. And there we see Glenn actually attacking straight off the line.
And here he is immediately pressing back on the attack. As you said now, looking to get more on the front foot. Most, 3, maybe even 4 of his first points coming from defence or counter-offence. Harry Bird now building his attacks much more patiently than we saw in the opening minute or two. And it's beautiful from Harry Bird. All the way down, patient build-up.
And it's amazing, isn't it, when you take that time, when you keep the distance big, all of a sudden those attacks that were landing flat, that Glenn was able to step in and close out, start to land. It's a whole different game.
Looking at a more patient attacker now is Harry Bird. Yeah. Loud cheers from the Welsh crowd, but that first attack was parried by Bird off target.
They're one of those ones that give you false hope when you see just that one light come up, but it's within time. He's found the blade, absolutely power-crossed. Again, great call from Kelly.
It always feels like it takes a day for that second light to come up.
And if it feels like a day for us, it feels even longer for those athletes.
Okay.
Yeah, very good here. So Glenn is pressing. So initially you might think it's his attack. He just takes that step back. He leaves the pressure. Harry responds immediately with the attack, and Glenn finishes. So again, great call, attacking preparation.
So the end of the first period, they go off to the minute break. Harry Bird, he was 4-1 down in the early phases of this match. He's now leads 8-5. What is it from where you're sitting, Luke, that's really changed this match in Harry's favour?
He slowed down his attacks. That made a big difference early on, because then he wasn't trying to rush it through. He wasn't getting caught out by the steps in from Glenn. And he started to finish those attacks. Then what we saw was that change in direction we mentioned earlier, where Glenn felt he needed to take the fight to Harry. He started pressing him more. And that actually played to Harry's plan as well. He seemed quite comfortable, even right on his back line there, to take the parries or to take the counters and to push ahead. I think the coaching here will be really interesting. Neither of these are their normal coaches that they'd have at club. So it'd be interesting to see who can relay what messages to these guys going into the next 3 minutes.
It's an interesting challenge in a championship environment, isn't it? You know, working maybe with a new coach, you haven't had a chance to form that kind of a relationship. How is it that you are able to establish something that works between the two of you in quite a short space of time?
Yes, it's really interesting. And actually, on the right-hand side with Glenn, we've got Ethan Risdale, who was of course competing here today as well. So there's that teammate mentality. Often it helps if they are a fencer themselves. They can understand you in that situation. Attack on preparation there, very subtle preparation for the right there. Harry just commits slightly earlier to the attack.
And here we see Glenn back on the attack. He's had a lot of looks at attackers, but he's not really been as successful landing them. Either having them taken off of him with Harry taking the blade, or just landing off target. Still with Glenn calls for video here. What's he looking for?
I think he's looking for either attack stops, or he's trying to get attack on preparation somehow. It's one of those things that when you're the athlete, everything feels like it's in slow motion, much like we said before. And so you feel like there's some massive stop in there. And I think when you take that step back, it's usually quite obvious. You can see, yeah, there we go from Kelly, just attack touche. It's one of those ones where almost you want somebody outside of the piece telling you when to go to video or not. They're just confirming the score now to make sure they didn't add it up. There we go. And how many video appeals they've got left. It's also a bit of a breather. It's a mental reset for Glenn. Starts to press again.
Cards coming out again.
Yes, that time for use of the back arm. So he's trying to lift up the arm when they reverse the shoulders so they're not covering. Glenn's arguing for more, but it is just a yellow card here. Ironically, it's the one thing I said we might see from Glenn earlier in this fight, and of course he's ducked instead. just staying on the side of the piece. There we go. That's the danger with these raised pieces. You'll see that orange area outside of it, which is still earthed, but is off the piste. If you go too far off the piste, of course, it's very easy to recognise because you will be on the blue or the red.
Incredible patience and composure there from Harry Bird. Yeah, in the face of several different attacks from Ostacini, just hanging on by the toenails to the back line and then responding in his own composed way.
Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline to be able to do that. I think that it didn't arise when a hit. The last action was really quite interesting. We saw that pressing and then step back, which Glenn had done earlier, we saw from Harry, but that time he tried to set up the parry. It was a completely different approach to the same action.
We've had just over a minute now in this second period.
Yeah, I'd go to video as well. I'll check for core of core first.
So it's a red card given to Harry Bird. What's it for and why?
Yeah, so this is core of core to avoid the touch. So what we've seen there is Glenn's taken the parry and he's not been able to get the riposte on because Harry has forced that core of core. So he's not been able to get the hit, therefore you have to be able to give the card.
Harry touches the hit. Attack on preparation?
Indeed, yes, and that's kind of what Glenn was looking for in his last video appeal. This time clearly a bit more successful, a bit more of a preparation from Harry. We're looking again for that commitment to the attack.
So Luke, you said cards might play a part in this. You thought penalties, maybe the referees might be involved.
Touche.
Oh, patience from Glenn. He gets the parry and he doesn't waste the riposte.
Absolutely, so you've got that right of reply, you've got that one immediate action you can use once they've passed, and he uses it very effectively there. Quite nice it's behind the head as well, if only we could give bonus points.
Just on paper.
In this period, just feels like Harry's not been able to get his attack motoring in the way that he did in the first period. And as a consequence, Glenn, on the other hand, 10-5 down, he is back level.
And one of the first attacks that's worked as well. This is the interesting thing. Previously, it was Harry pressing again, and those counters starting to work for Glenn. All of a sudden, he's got an attack. It's all open again.
Is this still the attack? No, preparation is called. Harry going immediately to video.
Yeah, it's whether he hesitates too much as he's coming forwards. I think he does in this one, but this will be really interesting to see in slow motion. It seems to be Glenn just has that timing. We're looking for Glenn to commit to an attack as well, but I think he's got it. Let's see what Kelly says. Preparation, attack, touche. Glenn goes ahead. Yeah, they'll just confirm the score. You've got the score over the top of the video as well, so we're always making sure on this.
That attack from Harry just gone AWOL in the last sort of 30, 40 seconds. Glenn maybe suddenly finding something. A bit of a spring in his step, but it's back.
Indeed, and actually that one, he's starting to speed up the attacks again. You know what we were saying earlier about that slow, controlled steps that he was, drawing the counter, just being able to finish. It's not working so much anymore. Distance coming into play again. Nearly got away with the counter for Harry, but great control again from Glenn.
Here we are, there's a press from Harry. Aggressive, like you said.
Oh, attack, no.
But it's like you said, there's a moment, isn't it? And it feels like Glenn has found it. There's a moment in Harry's attack where there's an opportunity for him to take it. 3 times now. Twice his attack on preparation. Once, this one more of a counter-attack?
Yeah, absolutely a counter. So we see Harry committing to that attack, but he's just too close because Glenn's done played with the distance. Lovely step in. And it works out well for him here. It's always a risky strategy, but why not?
Not a lot of time left for Harry to fix this issue with his attack. 3 points now it's cost him. And there it is again.
Yes, I was just looking to see if the assessor was there to see for ducking. But it's fine. Okay, we're going to video for it. Yes, I think it would be worth. It's a 50-50 call here. Otherwise, great pressure from Glenn.
I think, has Harry maybe used his last video, or has he decided against it?
Not sure either way we move on. Hit stands. Glenn's attack working. We've got assesseurs, so if they don't spot it, then there's usually very little point in the video.
Silence in the hall as this patient press from Harry Bird, and you just felt as soon as the press really started to build, the pressure moved on to Glenn.
It's that slow press we said about before, right? When he's rushed it, Glenn's been able to step in. When it's that slow attack, there's been very little he can do.
Here's Glenn on the attack again.
Oh, a little bit early from Glenn there.
Harry just changing up the pace. Are we going to now see back to the slow press? He's got himself some room. There's the attempted counter from Glenn. Harry was equal to it, unable to land the riposte. That one round the back is just over the back of Glenn's shoulders has not worked for him yet this match.
Glenn's right on his knees, in fairness. It's going to take quite a lot to get down that low as well. But fair enough.
Oh! Yeah. Harry Bird finds something and clears it out and immediately calls medical.
Yes. It takes a lot of nerve to be able to do that, to see the attack coming in that close and to wait and to hold for that close quarters parry riposte. Really does take something. Okay, so the way we see in this medical break now, we have the first doctor comes over and they assess is it a valid medical break or not. They make the assessment, and then if we're okay to go ahead, they will speak to the referee and we can bring in the treatment doctor, which is what we see coming in now. Then they have up to 5 minutes to treat that relevant injury, providing it's not happened before in the competition. So note that's a maximum as well. If Glenn's ready to go after a minute and the doctor's happy, on we move. Hopefully it will just be a brief interlude.
13 apiece. Harry's just managed to get himself back level. 26 seconds remaining in this period. Are we going to see this go to another minute break, or are you seeing this finishing this period?
That's a very good question. How cagey do they come out after this? Both of them have been pretty calm and collected in their fights, almost as a marked difference to the people they were fencing. I reckon we could see this going in at least one fencer on 14. I'm not sure. I reckon we may see another period, but we'll see how level heads are in the Commonwealth Fencing Championships final.
What do we think is going to be the key? We've talked a lot about Harry Bird's attack and the times where it's rushed it, got himself into trouble with the counter-attack, been able to be picked off by Glenn, versus the times where he's gone slow and steady. Is that going to be the difference in this match, do we think?
I think the attacks are going to decide it from both fencers here. So Harry's slow press seems to have been working. He changed it up a couple of points ago and it worked well, but generally when he's rushed it, that's been when Glenn can move in with those counters. That all being said, all of a sudden we've seen attacks from Glenn that are going through in this period, which we just didn't see in the first one. So whoever has that attack is really quite important for this. Harry's been fencing a lot on his backline as well. He's not been able to stop Glenn's attack until he's really pressed on his backline, and that's been a big challenge for him defending. He's not been able to get the distance to make those parries. So if he could do any more in his side of the piece, stop himself getting back, that opens up the chance that he can then start attacking and use those. That all being said, though, Glenn's defence has also grown in this period. We've seen him, clearly bring it back, and now we're at 13 all. It's not just dependent upon that counter. He's been more successful with the attacks, but he's still got those all the way through this fight, being able to step in, close the distance, close the line out with a hip block.
Glenn just receiving a bit of treatment now. Not got the time on the box, so we don't know exactly how much longer of that 5 minutes is remaining. Harry Bird just taking a break down his end of the piece. He's got a chair on and he's just taking on a bit of water. It is an incredibly hot day today here in Sports Dock. It is a concrete building and it is keeping the heat in. We actually saw in the semi-final Harry Bird's jacket went conductive.
Yes.
And he ended up giving up a hit, had to change his jacket midway through the match. It has been very warm here today.
It's one of those horrible rules. The hit still stands even though you can prove it's on your jacket, yes. We've certainly felt it in our suits and ties as referees, let alone when you've got a underplaster jacket and lame on. But it does play a difference. We've not seen cramp too much. People stay pretty hydrated, but it makes a difference when you're hot and you're tired and you're warm. At the end of the day, what can you achieve? Where's your hand at when it comes to finishing those flicks that we saw earlier? It's good they're both being able to take on some fluids during this medical break. And I'm sure it's a welcome break for both of them. But if it is that front hand of Glenn that we're seeing being strapped up now, how does that affect his ability to finish his attacks? Those that were working so well for him in this period. Yeah, there's a lot of factors at play, I think it's fair to say.
It's interesting, it looks like the doctor's really encouraging Glenn to be taking on whatever drink it is that he's got. And the way that it looked like she was manipulating his sort of forearm, it might be a touch of cramp coming from just the amount of heat and the amount of electrolytes he will have lost over the course of today.
They've not been easy fights either on the way here, it's certainly fair to say. But they're a great medical team here. As I say, we've got that assessment doctor who's made their first decision. We're able to go through it. They've got skeletal specialists and muscular specialists that unfortunately I've had to ask over to Epee throughout the day. So it's a great team, great volunteer team as well behind the scenes, helping out with all these parts. Let's just hope that Glenn is able to continue. Of course, it's the doctor's decision if they're able to continue. But 9 times out of 10 they are.
Harry Bird now back on his feet. It looks like he's up and getting himself ready for this. Really one last push maybe. 26 seconds remaining in this period, 13 all.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Who comes out, as we said right at the beginning of this medical break, who comes out with that level head? It was great to see Glenn up and walking again. He's got his glove on, he's picking up his sword. Looks like we've at least got a fight on our hands here.
Looks like we're back on. Okay, both fencers making their way back to the on-guard line. The last thing that happened before that medical break was that clean out in close quarters from Harry Bird to level up at 13 apiece. Now we've had a long break of 5 minutes. Who's kept their head? As you said, Luke, who's going to be the one that's going to stay calm?
And please, no more cards.
Immediately off the line from Glenn Ostacini.
Now this would be interesting. What do the referees say? Because Glenn's attack is definitely no. There's no way he's getting that point. Now, if that core of core has stopped Harry getting the hit, then it could be core of core to avoid the touch. If that is enough force to knock him back, we see jostling. And therefore, that is another cardable offence. So either of those could see Harry going 1 point ahead. I shouldn't have said I don't want to see any more cards straight before that point.
Back on guard.
Okay, fencing incident.
No touch. Intent from Ostacini, though. He came off the line. And again, pressing off target.
And feel like what did we say in that 5 minutes break, right? Harry has to do more. The moment he's pinned on his back line, he's got no distance in order to make those parries and make those counters work.
Ostacini not hanging around. Pressing. Is he off? Was he off? Halt has been called.
But time's still running. They're going to have to allow for this. Slight remote problems.
14 seconds, I think it was. See, the halt was called, and we've got the video here. It looks like Harry's foot just drags over the back line.
Yeah, it's one of those horrible things. You're watching so many different things at once, both as a fencer and as a referee here, because you're trying to find that parry. You're also trying to make sure you stay on the piste. And this is why that active defence before you get to that point matters so, so much. It's great to see the intent that Glenn has come out with in the fight, just as you said before. He's not holding back, and those attacks are working for him once again. Yeah, they're probably going to change the remote at this stage, just to make sure we get that timing right. they'll have the time on the video replay system as well, so they will have a far more accurate idea than we do of what time to restart that at. But we'll make sure we get the 17 seconds of this period before we go on to the next one.
Harry, you got this.
So in amongst all this drama, Glenn come back from a 5-minute injury break. He's immediately looked to attack, looked to press. He's pushed Harry Bird off the back line to go 14-13 up, one touch away. And he's off again.
Yeah, so the halt there for the core of core rather than the hit. Both fencers actually going for it. No one's at fault there.
He's parried, nothing.
Lovely draw.
Referee
of
has
the
called
hit.
halt.
That's a red card for covering. That's it. I mean, he's not got any choice other than to do that.
Referees have gone to have a look. Harry Bird, by the assessors, pinged for covering.
Again,
Referees are having a look.
Again, it's that value of having the assessors there. And again, we've had 2 ducking calls for Glenn. It's now the 3rd covering for Harry. The cards did play a part.
They did.
Let's see what we can see on video. They're taking a good long look at this as well, in fairness. It's not easy, actually, being an assessor, so you always stand on the side.
No touch.
Paré touche. As I'm saying, given the angle, particularly when they reverse the shoulders, you may end up on the wrong side, so it's not always the easiest to see. But they are there to look for all these penalties. And boy, has it changed this game.
Here's the press. 5 seconds in this period remaining. Oh, less than a second remaining. Harry Bird lands his attack off target.
Harry just asking for clarity that he's not 0.74 seconds away from losing this match. And we have a minute's break.
And it's gone pretty much exactly as you were saying, Luke. We've had one come through at 14. We've had drama in the last 30 seconds of this match. I am glad to have an FIE referee alongside.
I'm glad I'm up here and not down there, in fairness. It's an unenviable role for the assessors and for the main referee, of course. I mean, the joy is that we have video here, so you can make those tight calls and the fencers can refer you back, or indeed you can check your own stuff. But this is an all-star refereeing team. I wouldn't want anybody else making these decisions.
So just to recap on that last 30 seconds, with 26 seconds left on the clock, Harry Bird was 13-12 down. Glenn looked to attack. Harry Bird aggressively steps in, cleared the blade out, scored to go to 13. Ostaccini immediately takes a 5-minute medical break for maybe cramp. We're not sure at this stage. After that 5-minute medical break, Ostaccini, aggression off the line, immediately flying out looking to score, pushes Harry Bird off the back line to go to 14. An initial call for a red card against Harry Bird won the championship for Ostaccini, overturned on video. Here we are in final period of 3 minutes.
Because we couldn't make any more drama for you guys. He's aggressive off the front. Let's see what happens.
Here's Ostaccini again. Absorbed by Harry Bird. Are we going to see the slow or the aggressive press? Slow to begin with. He will know he can't afford a mistake here.
Remise touche. Remise touche.
Harry misses. Glenn misses. Harry scores. Levels at 14.
It's interesting. So, given Glenn went out hard initially, what he's now started to do is feint it to try and draw the initial response from Harry and therefore get the parry riposte.
14 apiece. Red cards all over. Glenn pressing slowly. He's on the attack now. Pushing all the way. Looks like Harry loses grip of his foil.
So they've got to check it because it's a 14-all point. So whether there's anything after the core of core. Let's deliberate in the drop. I don't think it is. I think he does just get hit on the hand, but let's see what happens. It's more a safety check than anything else.
Referee is returning.
Also checking he's on the piste after last time.
Back on guard, Harry Bird astride the back line. Pressing now.
It's that flick to back that didn't work at the beginning, it's still not working now. It's amazing how low Glenn can get as well. We'll see quite frequent video checks now, just to be safe.
You could see that Harry drew the counter-attack. Glenn down, Harry just couldn't find his way through. There's the attack and preparation. One light, no argument.
Attack and preparation is good, yes.
One last check, just to make sure there isn't anything that could possibly overturn it. Glenn Ostacini wants his weapon checked.
What drama.
Harry Bird is this individual senior men's foil Commonwealth champion 2022. Luke, tell us about that match.
Wow. Well, you couldn't have made it up if you tried. The number of cards there, the number of... Oh, at one point, Glenn had won it, until we saw the video replay. Wow. Incredibly tight from that. I think Glenn put up an amazing fight there as well. I think maybe on paper beforehand, Harry should have walked away with this. And that's a testament to how well Glenn is fencing right now. So tight. And what a spectacle for everybody watching.
The last minute or minute and a half of fencing time, pure drama. Excellent for this crowd. Luke couldn't have asked for a better commentary partner for this. Thank you very much for joining us. We go again tomorrow with the teams. What are you looking forward to over the next couple of days?
Well, given that fight, let's hope England-Wales in the in the foil. Yeah, we've got some great fights ahead. Hopefully, it gets a little bit cooler for all the athletes. But if this is a spectacle of the way to come, with the drama, the penalties, the lovely hits, the finishing flicks off the back line, everything else, I hope all of this continues.
Excellent, Luke. Thanks very much for being here as part of the commentary stream. That was excellent. Thank you so much for bringing your insight, bringing your knowledge and guiding us through that match.
Thank you very much.
We are now going to take a short break while we await the finalists of our last final of the day, which will be this individual senior men's sabre. Join us in a moment when we will be back for that match.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honour to introduce to you our men's sabre finalists. To the left, on the men's side, Jonathan Webb of England.
Welcome back to London Sportstock UEL for the last final of day 2 of the Commonwealth Fencing Championships 2022. We are here for the individual senior men's sabre. Will Deary of England facing off against JJ Webb, his teammate. I am delighted to be joined in the commentary box by, once again, Kate Dakin. Kate, what a treat we've just had with the individual senior men's foil. Is the sabre going to live up to it?
Well, it better. It's had 2 finals, but we're saving the best to last with Sabre, obviously.
Deary and Webb, this is a final that is not new to anyone familiar with either of these two athletes. What are we going to be looking out for in this a match between two athletes who know each other so well?
I'm just excited to watch it. No, I think that, you know, Will is really strong, long attacks all day. I think JJ's been a little bit more technical in the middle. I'm interested to see who's going to take the lead off first, because they're easily matched. They know what each other is like. Odd start to middle blitz.
JJ spent large parts of the last season out injured, but made his recovery and came back strong with a last 16 finish at the Senior European Championships this year. Maybe a man coming into form in time for this championships. Will Deary's consistent season.
They're both equally strong athletes.
And talking of strong,
I heard that with my headphones on. That it was a good power post.
And this is maybe where the athletes knowing each other so well. Deary has been catching people out all day with that aggressive attack where he can just bring the speed from nothing. But JJ ready for it, ready for the counter attack. 3-1 up.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's going to be a lot of second intention actions, I think, here.
Both start aggressive. Referee Andreas Duvis says that the final action begins with Will Deary. Webb sends him to the video. Referee returns. Comes back with exactly the same decision. 2-3.
Yeah, Will was just slightly sharper there, picking up the timing for that attack in the middle.
And then a slower start. Deary on the front foot. Maybe loses his footing a little bit.
Slight hesitation with his action. It didn't go through the distance. You know he's going to, they're going to either can attack or they're trying to find your blade. You got to be able to deal with it. Oh.
Whole length of the piece. JJ composes himself, lines up the finish. The counter attack is there.
Well, it's 3-4, and I still think it's pretty exciting. And I'm biased that it's slightly more exciting than foil and Epee, but there you go.
You said it was going to be all about the second intention. Right at the start, JJ off the line aggressively, but turns it immediately into a search for a parry. Deary faking all the way on defense. And again, they're both in an attack. JJ comes out one light. Twice now, and that's really the difference between the two of them, is those two single lights. The attack from Deary, parried. So few people have been able to stop the attack of Deary today. Twice now, JJ has found an answer.
Yeah, Will has a really long attack, so JJ's able to take the distance, and nice attack there.
So it's languid, isn't it, from JJ? He comes into the middle, it looks so slow, the lunge looks slow, but it just keeps going. And it's again.
He's really being patient, JJ, in the middle there. He's waiting, taking the time, finishing that preparation to draw that attack from Will.
He's been
attack in the middle for Webb.
So, what's the difference between the two? 8-3 at the break, Webb leads.
He's been really strong in that middle. Like I was saying, it was patience, not trying to rush in and finishing actions that haven't actually finished yet. He knows that Will's got that long attack, so he has to take that distance and get him out there. If he's going to make him fall short, he's sort of ending up on that sort of warning back line. Because you do need to take like 4 meters to beat Deary's attack.
What are we expecting to see in the second half? Deary's been really aggressive off the line, you feel. When he's looking to defend or whether he's looking to attack, he's come off the line hard. Webb, like you said, much, much slower, disguising his intention, hiding it until the last minute. What are we going to see?
They're both really strong athletes, and I think Will it's the strong, physically strong as well, and both mentally strong athletes. So I think they can both handle the pressure, and I think Deary can handle the pressure of bringing it, the sort of comeback. They're both capable. That's what I'm saying. Putting a mask on might be difficult, though.
A couple of running repairs for Deary's mask. Okay, we're back underway. Webb leads Deary 8-3. Slow, patient in the middle from JJ Webb. So JJ comes off the line quickly, but he doesn't come off as deep this time. And previously, he got punished when they both stopped. And part of that was he just came out, he was so deep that it meant that Deary could take it up. This time he's a bit shallower.
Yeah, I think he knows that Deary's going to change his game up as why. Nice.
So he's up. You're thinking Webb's upping the pace deliberately because he's expecting a change from Will?
Yeah.
And immediately,
it's a good decision from Deary to make that fall short, but it's just that millimetre of distance.
Into the guard, maybe?
And
yes.
Yes. So now Deary's trying to draw the attack from JJ. So it's now a flip side, really, of what they were doing before into the second half.
Say Deary's making a deliberate effort to really slow himself down. Give himself a bit more time in the middle.
Yeah.
And there it is, slowed right
Patience
down.
and a long attack.
And like you said, drawing out the attack from Webb.
Yeah.
Driving him down the piste and scoring.
Although Sabre is fast, you need that element of patience with your actions. And confidence. That's just that extra beat that you need. Yeah.
We'll have a little look at that on our own little screen. Feels like they're on that one, both of them maybe looking to go in slower, disguise their intention, and then commit on the second moment.
Yeah, I think Deary was ever so slightly sharper, yeah. Decision stays.
Andreas Duvis agrees. I think the score should be 7-10. I'll probably just check that. There we go.
Yeah.
So Will Deary slowed himself right down in the
he's
second half.
He's definitely trying to defend more in that middle, preparing to defend.
Aggressive start this time from Deary. And he takes the initiative. And attacks. A change up.
Yep.
Few points there, just going slower, going slower. All of a sudden he goes quicker, catches the opportunity to attack.
He's mixing up the fall short and the attack and preparation really nicely.
Webb looks for the line, is given.
Given.
JJ just taking a moment to straighten out that sabre, which you would have to do after pretty much any line. 11-8, confidence building touch for JJ. Twice there,
Yeah.
JJ's gone in, tried to look to draw the parry, draw the attack from Will,
Yeah.
deal with it with a parry.
Nice.
Oh.
Will's using that attack and prep as a feint now to make that fall shot really nicely set up there.
Webb calls for video. He's thinking Deary crossed maybe on that riposte. This is the difference, isn't it? Yeah, exactly as you said. Deary just starting to slow it down, absorb the attack, really make it miss, and then get himself going on the attack. Oh, what's your answer now if you're JJ?
Yeah.
What's the change?
You know he's going to do attack and prep and make him fall short. What's he going to deal with in the middle? That's it. Ooh. Oh, it was a good decision from Webb in the middle, though. Holding that attack.
He drove him almost all the way there. Deary just had a little bit left of the piece. And that is it, isn't it? You've got to use every inch when you're attacking or defending. Deary brings it level at 12. What's changed?
I think Deary's he's worked out his game and he knows what he's doing and he's confident in his actions. And he's committing to it.
Apiece. What's the change that's going to take one of these two over the line?
Probably that.
JJ back to old reliable. Slow start, draws the attack from Deary, skips out the way, backs it up with a parry and a strong riposte.
Like we said, both athletes know each other. They've trained with each other, compete.
Is there a danger you can overthink that when you know someone too well?
Definitely, and you sort of, I wouldn't say lose confidence in your actions, but that sort of overthinking it. If they think this, will I do this? And sometimes it's where you sort of almost resort to type as well. What can they do differently?
JJ off the line. Deary drops it short, puts out the line. The counter attack is there from JJ.
Brings that to 14-13.
The threat of the line there, causing Deary just to pause for a second.
Yeah. Can't beat a line.
Parry riposte. You see JJ wants it.
Attack.
He's on the attack now, is Webb.
We're going to get it.
Has he got the whole piece? Is he patient? Can he put the pressure on? He
Yes!
attacks, he lands! JJ Webb of England, the 2022 individual senior men's Sabre champion at 15-13. Kate, what can you say?
That was good. It was a really good final to watch. You know, I really thought it was equally matched, and it got really tight there at the end. But JJ just, you know, had that extra gear that he could shift into. But some excellent fencing all around.
Kate, thanks very much for joining us. That was our last final of the evening. Tomorrow we go back in, and you're back on the piste, I believe.
I am.
Back with the teams. Tell us about teams. Are you looking forward to it?
I am. I love a team match. You know, nothing quite like it. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. Just hope I'm on that. Hope someone else is commentating about me. That'd be quite nice on the finals.
Thanks very much for joining us over the last couple of days, Kate. And thanks everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage of day 2 of the 2022 Commonwealth Fencing Championships here at UEL's Sports Dock. That's going to be the end of our commentary coverage now, but we will be showing the medal presentations. Thank you from me, and thanks very much, Kate Dakin.
Thanks for having me.
Please welcome to the podium the medalist for the men's individual wheelchair epee category A. Medals will be presented by CEO of the International Wheelchair and Amputee Sports Federation. In the bronze medal position, in the first bronze medal position, representing Canada, Ryan Roussel. In the second bronze medal position, representing England, Josh Whittle. In the silver medal position, representing England, Oliver Lamb Watson. And in the gold medal position, and the 2022 men's individual wheelchair epee category A Commonwealth champion, Piers Gillivan. If you are able Please welcome to the podium the medalists for the senior individual women's epee competition. Medals will be presented by Helen Smith, member of the FIE Executive Committee, President of the Oceania Fencing Federation, and immediate past President of the Commonwealth Fencing Federation. In the first bronze medal position, representing England, Danielle Lawson. In the second bronze medal position, representing Scotland, Rachel Lever. In the silver medal position, representing Canada, Marie-Frédérique Millet. And in the gold medal position, and the 2022 Senior Women's Individual epee champion, representing England, Susan Seeker. Please now all stand if you are able and face the flags opposite the podium for the national anthem of England. Next medal presentation will be the senior men's individual foil. Please can all medalists make their way to the end of the piece, ready to walk onto the podium. Please welcome to the podium medalists for the senior individual men's foil competition. In the first bronze medal position, representing Scotland, Keith Cook. In the second bronze medal position, representing England, Kamal Minot. In the silver medal position, representing Wales, Glenn Ostachini. And in the gold medal position, representing England, the 2022 Senior Men's Individual Foil Champion, Harry Bird. Please now all stand if you are able and face flags opposite the podium of the national anthem of England. Final medal presentation of the evening will be the senior individual men's Sabre. Please can all medalists make their way to the end of the finals pieces, please.
Not have to use the shoes. Stand on the flag and then flip the flag. This is really damn good.
Please welcome to the stage the medalists for the senior individual men's sabre competition. Medals will be presented by Manuel Katsiavakis, the interim president of the International Fencing Federation. In the first bronze medal position, representing Scotland, Rory McLellan. In the second bronze medal position, representing India, Kishore Kumarasan Arma. In the silver medal position, representing England, Will Deary. And in the gold medal position, and the 2022 Senior Men's Individual Sabre Champion, representing England, James